Hello and thanks for joining us for the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Each weekend we walk you through the headlines from this past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
As the Old Trails fire tore through neighborhoods in northwest Spokane, police officers, including Kyle Gale,
so it got hectic fast,
began going door to door, starting with the homes that were already on fire or about to be.
We were going down roads that were actively on fire, approaching homes that were actively on fire. One that I went to almost got trapped at. Happened to a lot of officers as well. You know, everyone was putting their own well-being aside, making sure they get to homes.
He says they organized 4-person teams, assigned them to an area or neighborhood to clear, and they got to work. A sprint turned marathon. The evacuations went on for hours.
And every single person on the team, without saying it, was sprinting door to door. You know, move their car a little bit, sprint door to door, knocking on doors, make sure people had, you know, the information that, you know, their homes and lives could be in danger if they stayed in the area and whatnot.
All said and done, law enforcement and firefighters evacuated an estimated 65,000 people on August 1st. That includes patients at the VA hospital and people in adult care homes. When STA buses ran out of room, he says he used his squad car to get people out.
I went by myself to another adult family home. I took 2 of them in my car plus a caregiver along with wheelchairs and walkers and stuff. Like, but we can't stay, we got to make it work. Like, the STA buses were already full, trying to help other people go. So I was like, I have empty seats, let's get you out of here.
Kyle says he spent between 6 to 8 hours evacuating people on that shift, and at one point says he nearly got trapped himself while checking on an elderly woman whose home had already caught fire.
Yeah, the smoke just made it so you couldn't see, you know, so took a little bit to get out of there, but it ended up all right.
He says the woman he was looking for had already left. She, along with everybody else, escaped the flames. To date, authorities say they haven't received any reports of people dying in the fires.
So no loss of life, I think, just really is a testament to all the organizations around here and how we're one team and work together.
Timothy Stanley thought August 1st would be a day on the water.
We went paddleboarding on the 1st, and then we got evacuated whenever we got done. So we couldn't go back up to my place to get my stuff or anything.
As the fires burned, planes flew overhead and evacuation alerts came in. Stanley says his landlord then sent him something else, a picture of a man inside the garage of a home he rents. Stanley couldn't get back right away. When he finally did, he realized a guitar and a handgun were missing.
It was my dad's gun. I lost my dad last year, and so it was more of a sentimental value.
Stanley posted the security video online. He says within 15 minutes, people were sending him a name.
His friends and family were the ones that messaged me.
Spokane police say video and tips provided to investigators helped them identify 37-year-old Lawrence Moss. Police arrested Moss near Northtown Mall August 13th. For one neighbor, the burglary was especially unsettling. She's lived in 5 Mile for 25 years.
It's a very scary, very unsettling thought. To know that somebody was burglarized literally just 3 houses away from me.
Coulter says the fires had already brought neighbors closer together. Now they're talking about ways to keep watch together, including call chains and possible neighborhood patrols.
We're all definitely a lot more connected and communicating a lot more. So that really brings a sense of peace. And it is so nice to know that you have more neighbors than you even thought watching your back.
Moss's arraignment today lasted just minutes. He pled not guilty. As for Stanley, he says he'll let the court decide what happens next. What he wants is much simpler.
Well, I'd like to get my stuff back, to be honest with you.
Moss is due back in court October 12th. In Spokane, Emily Fox-Millian, KREM 2 News.
Well, this request from Governor Bob Ferguson is asking for a 1-year postponement of any federal tax deadlines for those affected by the recent wildfires. In this letter he sent to the U.S. Treasury Secretary, the governor writes an extension will give much needed flexibility to taxpayers whose, quote, ability to meet federal tax obligations may be disrupted by evacuations, property damage, business interruption, displacement, loss of records, restricted access, or other impacts related to wildfires. If approved, the extension would apply for 7 counties and 3 tribal nations. Those include Spokane, Okanagan, Chelan, and Stevens. We got a chance to speak with a local tax expert at Northwest CPA and Tax who provided more context on this request.
Taxes is a big burden for a lot of people. Holding that tax payment, out longer gives you time to kind of recover and recoup some of your losses.
Back on August 10th, an emergency proclamation, the governor issued state-level tax relief for businesses affected by wildfires. In terms of this most recent request, the extension would push the deadline back a year for both filing and paying of federal taxes. For now, though, reporting here in Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. It's been a busy week across the Inland Northwest, and we want to help catch you up on some stories you might have missed.
Firefighters are donating their time, driving through fire-impacted neighborhoods with supplies for anyone who needs them. Shovels, masks, and even toys for kids.
I think it's important to show the community that we're still here even though the fires are out.
Casey Schooley has only been a firefighter for about a month. On the second day of the Old Trails fire, he was already helping his team put out hot spots. Now he's volunteering to help people pick up the pieces.
There's more that we do than just put out the fire. We can continue to show up and support them however we can.
The effort started last week as a collaboration between fire department administrators and the firefighters union. Firefighters sign up for 4-hour shifts, then head out in teams of 2. For Shane Grunig, this work is personal. 3 years ago, he lost his own home in the Gray Fire.
For me, it's being able to relate to them, knowing that I've been through what they've been through, so they maybe even open up a little bit more and understand that you can move on from this.
Grunig and his family have since rebuilt, but he remembers how hard it was to even know what help to ask for.
I didn't know what I needed, so something as simple as a friend or family bringing a meal meant the world to me.
That experience is why these firefighters say people shouldn't hesitate to accept help, even if they don't know what they need. The volunteer teams will continue driving through impacted neighborhoods throughout this week. In Spokane County, Emily Fox-Millian, KREM 2 News.
Second one. Hey. In the middle of gray ash-filled neighborhoods destroyed by the Spokane complex fires, a sea of orange can be seen making their way from property to property.
We found one. One watch.
Getting families started on the long road to recovery.
What we really want to do is to be present for those homeowners to know that they're not alone.
Trevor Von Kampen has been in the area for the last few days with Samaritan's Purse, an international disaster relief group based out of North Carolina. Their mission is simple: lend a helping hand to anyone who needs it.
So many of our local day volunteers that are coming out are local. They're coming out to help their neighbors, to help each other.
Get to share some love. People are hurting and they need a lot of help.
Steve Bland is one of the over 60 volunteers working in this destroyed neighborhood, sifting through ash and trying to find remnants of people's old lives. While what is left from these fires is heartbreaking to see, he says this level of destruction is something he's familiar with.
It's just kind of a reminder of what happened out in Elk and how quickly some of the stuff that we rely on can be taken away from us.
So far, Samaritan's Purse says it has helped 16 families and has over 110 requests for help in total.
It's kind of cool that we get to swoop in here and kind of do the things immediately, but I think people need to be reminded, I know I need to be reminded that what's taken place here is going to take years to overcome.
As families start the cleanup process, they need to do two things before they're able to get the all clear. First is make sure all the household hazardous materials are fully cleaned from their property by the Environmental Protection Agency, and the second is to make sure there is no asbestos on the property. Once those two things are done, they can then start to clean the ash and burnt structures. Bland tells me while he's been volunteering the last couple of days, he can't help but get flashbacks to the amount of people who reached out in need after the Gray and Oregon road fires.
I think we're done.
Yeah. Samaritan's Purse tells me that they're going to stay here in the community for as long as people need help. So if you're in need, or if you even want to volunteer your time, we have where you can sign up to do so up on our website, KREM.com. In Spokane County, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
The Wildfire Event Contract Prohibition Act would bar federally registered prediction market platforms from listing or clearing contracts that allow users to profit from wildfire events. That would include bets based on things like acres burned, fire containment, evacuations, or property damage. The bill comes after public reports released showing more than $1.2 million in bets were placed on contracts connected to the 2025 Palisades and Eaton fires in California. Those fires forced tens of thousands of people to evacuate and destroyed hundreds of homes. That data mirrors the evacuations and structures lost in the Spokane complex fires. Congressman Michael Baumgartner says there is no evidence the betting was connected to the arson that started the fires in eastern Washington, but he says the possibility of a financial incentive to start or worsen a wildfire is a risk Congress needs to address.
It's a great idea. However, it's just addressing the symptoms.
Patricia Shropshire is a substance use disorder professional with gambling disorder training at Neurobalance Treatment Center in Spokane. She says while she supports the idea behind the bill of preventing people from making bets off of other people's losses, there isn't anything in the legislation on how to treat those who suffer from addiction.
I support reducing harm, right? And that's what I gather. But I don't believe the bill addresses the actual health condition of gambling disorder.
The bill would also require the Justice Department to work with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and federal land management agencies to examine whether more tools are needed to investigate and prosecute wildfire-related betting schemes. That review would include schemes involving overseas prediction markets. Now, the bill would not restrict wildfire forecasting, fire weather science, emergency response, or legitimate insurance products. It would only apply to wildfire-related event contracts offered through federally registered prediction markets. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
For years, this was a place where people could count on a hot breakfast and a helping hand. But now, Shalom Ministries is having to say goodbye to the only place it's called home for over 3 decades, leaving many questions about what comes next for the people who relied on their services.
Since 1994, this building has been the central hub for those facing housing insecurity to connect with resources like health experts as well as get a hot meal. Shalom Ministries says while they've been working out of the basement of this downtown location, the nonprofit has handed out over 85,000 meals. Officials with the organization say since they've been using that space, the church has changed ownership multiple times. However, the newest owners, Zeal Church, made the decision last week to evict the nonprofit, giving them 30 days to vacate the premises. Dexter Phillips, the president of Shalom's board, says the work they have done since the 90s has created a safe space for these individuals to come together and get the help they need without shame. He says it is something the nonprofit wants to continue to provide.
We don't have a place to go. We don't have the kitchen that we can cook out of, but we're working it. We are, as a board and as a community, we are actively seeking out that continued solution.
Officials with Zeal Church tell me they plan to make a public statement about their decision this weekend at their Sunday service starting at 10 a.m. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Well, it was about 3 a.m. when the executive director of Hutton Settlement tells me he got an alert this week that someone was breaking into one of their properties. He tells me this isn't anything new, though. Go ahead, take a look at these photos right here. These are shared by Chud Wendell. In the last 2 weeks, he describes several break-ins, arson attempts, and vandalism. He recently posted to Facebook about his concerns, a post that at last check has more than 700 interactions.
With that post and knowing that what we're dealing with at the building we're at right here, we had 2 arson attempts within the building in the last 9 days. It's drug induced, and so I think we have to change some laws on the books, and that was really my ultimate call to action with the post.
According to their website, the Hutton Settlement consists of homes intended to provide a safe environment and, quote, healthy living opportunities for children ages 6 to 18 in need of a long-term alternative home. Wendell says these types of situations are what they try to protect their kids from, so he expressed that it's disheartening to deal with the circumstances that have been recently presented.
The number one is a community can only be as healthy as it is safe. And that's a big piece, because right now there's a lot of perception and a lot of it's reality that we're not safe, which then makes us not that healthy. We got to do better.
As for those arson attempts that Wendell mentioned, he says he's thankful the Spokane Fire Department was able to respond quickly, but there's several things that they now have to adjust because of these situations. And Wendell says each time one of these incidents happen, it has a direct impact on the children they're trying to protect here at the Hutton Settlement. For now, though, on the Night Report, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News. You're watching the Week in Review, where we bring you some of the biggest news stories of the past week.
There's been a lot of movies, television commercials, and major production events across Spokane, and a new position through Visit Spokane is hoping to increase the scope of what gets filmed here. From Vision Quest,
Do you think bad things that we do follow us through life?
to Train Dreams and many other movies and television productions along the way, the city of Spokane has a rich history of film and television productions highlighting its beauty.
It gave me like a lot of curiosity in watching other films that are filmed in other areas in the U.S. that are like small city, and you get to learn about it.
Gatti Nicario got to experience working as an actor on Train Dreams, which garnered multiple Academy Award nominations. He says his part in the project made him realize how much the Lilac City has to offer for the film industry.
We have a lot of good local filmmakers in Spokane. You know, we have a lot of talents in terms of film editing, photography, you know, directing.
Enter Luis Moda.
I am here to sell Spokane on films.
Visit Spokane's new director of film and event development. His job is to recruit productions and events to Spokane and make it easier for them to do business here. Moda will work directly with the city's Community and Economic Development Division to help producers navigate city processes and connect with local resources. He'll work with production companies and event organizers while promoting Spokane's location and local workforce.
It could be anything from TV, films, commercials, and anything of that nature.
He says hotels, restaurants, venue retailers, and other local businesses could all benefit when productions bring people and outside dollars into the community. The partnership brings together Visit Spokane's tourism and industry connections with the city's economic development expertise.
Why can't we be the next Albuquerque, where it has, Netflix studios or something along those lines?
For now, Moda says the goal is to make Spokane competitive for those opportunities and establish the city as a place production companies think of when deciding where to bring their next project. And for actors like Nicario, he hopes that the film industry only gets stronger for people coming in from out of town and people like him that call Spokane home.
I think I'm very confident that it will lead to really good results.
Now, the partnership will focus on recruiting both film and television productions as well as major events. Moda is now serving as the dedicated point of contact for those companies and organizers looking at Spokane. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on the KREM 2 app. Just scan the QR code on your screen to watch for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review.